Okay, girls, I got another one for you. What do you think about the Chillenden murders?
Yes, we've heard about these, Master. That was when the Russells were coming home from the swimming garler in the afternoon, at 3 o'clock. They were walking home, and they were horribly, horribly attacked by a man with a large, large hammer.
Yeah, very good, girls. But that's not really the issue. Who perpetrated the Chillenden murders?
Well, Master, we think it was Master Michael. Shall I call him Master? Master Michael Stone was found guilty of these terrible, terrible crimes.
That is correct. That is correct. What do you think, Sparehead?
I've never been convinced of this one. Never been convinced of this one.
Yeah, okay, well, good for you. Okay, let's recap.
Sorry, wrong what that means again.
It means we go back over everything. And no more silly jokes about recapping, Sparehead.
No jokes about recapping, Master.
All right, so what happened here? It was on the 9th of July in 1996 in the little village of Chillenden in Kent. Okay, the Russell family, not the father, he was a GP, he was at work, but the family, that was Lynn, the mother, who was an intelligent lady. She was a doctor, not a, I believe she was a doctor of geology or one of those, something like that. Anyway, she had a PhD. But anyway, she was walking home. She was a family mum. She was walking home with her children, Megan Russell, who was very young. 6, 7, I'm not sure. I don't have the ages here. And Josie Russell, who was a little bit older. They're walking home from the swimming gala on this afternoon. And then...
Oh, what happened next, Master?
Well, according to Josie, a red car drove by. People will say beige. But according to Josie, it was a red car, a red Ford Sierra, possibly Escort. It was an old Ford. Anyway, was driving past up this little cherry garden lane. It's just there. It's like really beautiful. If you have a look at the videos on YouTube and stuff, you just go to this area. It's so beautiful. There's a beautiful old windmill, and they were just walking up Cherry Garden Lane on the way back from the swing gala, and a large dude, I should add, drives by in this car, in this Ford, and Josie waves to the guy, and what's the guy do? He pulls up, he comes out of the car, brandishing a hammer.
What kind of hammer, Master? Was it a bill peen, or was it a claw hammer?
I don't know. That data's not been released. We never found the murder weapon, so we don't know that at Quinoa. But either way, anyway, so he gets out, hammer, goes up to the family, and he says, "Give me all your money." And they're like, give me your money. I mean, what would you girls do?
I don't have any money. But if I did, I'd be like, take the money. Take the money. Large, criminal guy. Take the money.
I would be the same, probably, if I didn't have me Luger. And yeah, anyway, so they say, yeah, take the money. And the man doesn't want that. He shepherds them off. He shoves them, scares them, frightens them off into a little crops of trees just next to Cherry Garden Lane. And it's out in the country, honestly. It's out in the middle of nowhere. There's nobody to witness any of this at all. He shoves them off into the shrubbery nearby.
They could have been attacked by a crab in there.
Yeah, well, that was the least of their worries. They were pushed into the shrubbery. They were tied up. The girls had just done a swimming gala, so they had towels on them. And apparently the offender, whoever he was, ripped up these towels, used those to tie them to trees. He tied the girls and the mother, Lynn, to trees, and he also used some shoelaces as well to tie them up. And at this point, Lynn, the mother, wanting to protect her children, what do you think she does?
She says, run, 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 run. This man is dangerous.
Indeed, he was. She said, run, exactly. And at this point, Josie runs. She runs like the wind. But unfortunately, the assailant, although he was large, he was still fairly fast. He caught Josie, smashed her over the head with the hammer, and then dragged her back and tied her up, and proceeded to beat them. And one thing I didn't mention,
The dog. You mentioned the dog, Master.
they had a dog. I forget the dog's name, but they had a dog, and the killer not only beat those poor ladies, the children, the mother. Not only did he beat them with the hammer, he beat the little dog as well. He killed the dog. He killed Lynn with terrible blows to the head. He killed Megan with terrible blows to the head. He thought he had killed Josie. Then he hopped in his car and he drove off. He didn't do it for the money. You know, they had very little money on them. They were a wealthy family, but they had very little on them. No jewellery, no money. He did it purely for the fun. He did it for the fun.
Is that fun?
Well, I guess I enjoy shooting you girls, but no, it's not really fun to attack a human being.
Master, you're moral.
Indeed, I am moral. Okay, right, so that happened. What happens later? So in the evening, right, the father comes back from work. His family have not reappeared. He starts phoning around the friends, all the friends' houses, everybody else, asking, are they there? Are they with you? Where are they? And what do you think the answer was?
No answer, Master. We're like, yeah, we can't find them.
That is the correct answer, yeah. Excuse me, I still got COVID. Yeah. There was no answer. Nobody had seen them. So finally, I mean, the attack was like 3:30 or something in the afternoon. Finally, at about 9:30, I'm saying it's about that. The father has no idea where his family are. Poor chap. He phones the police, and he says, "My family are missing," and they go out looking for them. And of course, they find them very quickly because actually they've been attacked within like 300 yards or so of their own house. They had nearly got home from the local swimming gala. They were nearly back home when this dude had attacked them. Anyhow, a year later, what do you think happened?
Master, yeah, can I call him Master? Master Stone, Michael Stone. Yar, he had some problems, I believe, Master.
He was a heroin addict.
Oh, that's a problem, Master.
Yeah, he was. He was a heroin addict. Okay, we can't deny it. And to feed his habit, he had been burglarizing houses, nicking stuff. Yeah, he'd done all of that,
Oh, he's a bad man. He should be punished.
Yeah. We'll discuss that in a later video, because I believe it's an illness, addiction, not... it doesn't make you a criminal. But anyhow, whatever, regardless of that. So, a year later, the psychiatrist of Michael Stone phones up the police and says, I have this patient who I think is a bit homicidal, and he looks a bit like the photo fit that we have for this crime. Because this has gone on for like a year now, and the police have no idea who's done it.
Master, that raises a medical ethical question. Is it correct for you to phone the police on your friends?
Well, when I was working as a pharmacist, I was told that only for a very serious crime can we let the police know who the patient is.
Why can't you use a serious crime?
Well, I guess a murder does. So I suppose this dude, is okay with the General Medical Council, but it's a bit shaky. Anyway,
Master, was there forensic evidence?
no, that's the point. So they arrest Stone they ask him, have you been to Chillenden? Because he lived like 30, 40 miles away. He did know the area a little bit, maybe, but just a little bit. And the problem for him was that in the past he had had a bit of a clash with a drug dealer, probably because he owed him money or something. We know what drug dealers like. He'd hit the dude with a wooden mallet. And so, of course, the police said, "You're a hammer attacker."
If you're on the mallet, does that make you actually a hammer attacker?
I would argue no. And either way, it's not evidence. It's circumstantial at best, girls, isn't it?
Even I would have to agree with that, Master.
Indeed. Okay, right. So let's cut to the chase. So Stone was arrested. He was literally railroaded down the line. They said to him, "You're a heroin addict. We found a shoelace."
What relevance is the shoelace, Master?
Well, according to the police, if there's a shoelace there, obviously it was a heroin addict that did it, because what they do is they tie off the vein as a tourniquet so they can get a good vein, and then they inject, you see.
Master, in 1996, was DNA around?
It was. And was Michael Stone's DNA on that shoelace?
I'm guessing not, or we wouldn't be doing this video.
It was not. There were DNA samples they found on the shoelace, but Michael Stone's was not on the shoelace. But apparently having a shoelace there meant it was a heroin addict, therefore it's Michael Stone.
Master, how many... I'll say it again.
Heroin.
How many heroin addicts are there in the UK?
I don't know. 10 million? There's a lot.
So the shoelace meant that Master Stone had done the crime?
According to Kent police, yes, that is indeed what it meant. Was there any other evidence against him, girls?
A relative said he once came home with blood on him, 16 months ago.
Exactly. But what was the real evidence against him? Because basically they had none. They imprisoned him, they remanded him, and what was the evidence there?
People didn't like him, and a cellmate said he had confessed.
A jail cell confession. That's interesting, because I've talked to John Kelly, the renowned profiler over in America, and he, like me, believes that is a load of baloney, because a jail cell confession, it's coming from one criminal to another where they're hoping to save their own skin. And it was a chap called Daly. I forget his first name now. It was a chap called Daly that said, "Oh, I was in the next cell to Stone, and Stone confessed to it." And that was the entire evidence at trial. Now, look, girls, maybe Stone did do it, but is that proof beyond reasonable doubt? When a cellmate says, "Oh, he was chatting to me and he told me that he did it."
Yeah, well, when it comes to jail cell, I've studied this, Master. When it comes to jail cell confessions, what you need to have, right, is you need to have evidence not in the public domain. So maybe if this Daly had said, "Yeah, there was this and that," maybe I dropped my book at the crime scene that I was reading, bit of Frederick Forsyth, Day of the Jackal. I dropped that at the crime scene. And nobody knew that except the police and the killer. Maybe that would be evidence.
Did he do that?
No, Master.
No, he didn't. He didn't give a single bit of evidence that wasn't in the public domain, and he'd been reading the flipping newspapers all the days before. Honestly.
Master, are you saying the Kent police are corrupt?
I'm saying that it had gone on for a year, this investigation. They were going absolutely nowhere, and they found a very, very easy target. They found a vulnerable person, a heroin addict, who, let's be fair, he wasn't a very nice guy. He was a criminal. He used to steal lawnmowers and stuff. I wouldn't have liked him in my garden, nicking my lawnmower. But did he deserve to be railroaded for a murder without any evidence? Maybe he did it. But the problem is you have to have evidence beyond reasonable doubt.
Master, my understanding is that in like 2001, 2002, the polymerase chain reaction came along. We could amplify DNA many cycles, and we could check for people's DNA. Now, you referred to a shoelace left at the scene. Surely that shoelace could be, what do you call it?
It could be DNA tested, yeah.
Could be DNA tested, and we could see if Master Stone's DNA is on there, even in the trace, because if he touched him, he has transferred those skin. I have a rubber skin. I don't transfer skin cells, but you, Master, you would. If you did a crime, you would transfer your skin cells. They could PCR test you. They could say, Master, you did it.
Well, they couldn't because I didn't do it. But I was only 12 then. But yeah, they could do it. They could have DNA tested it. But do you know what Kent Police did with that absolutely vital evidence that could catch the culprit, that could implicate Stone? It could do anything. Do you know how they stored it?
Put it in the microwave?
They might as well have done that for a while. They might as well have done. They lost the flipping shoelace. They lost it. We're talking about a man's life here. We're talking about a double murderer and a single attempted murderer going on the, scot-free. What else has this person done?
Master, what about Belfield, the multiple murderer who liked to whack women on the head when they were like, yeah, we think you're fat and ugly.
What about Belfield, Levi Belfield? The problem is he does have a very solid alibi. It might have been Belfield, but if it is, unfortunately, the alibi evidence is very, very strong, so I don't know if it's him or not. But what we have here is, at the very least, an absolutely disgraceful example of a miscarriage of justice. At the worst, what we have here is a killer on the loose who has murdered a lady, her very young daughter, and has nearly murdered Josie. Do you know why Josie survived?
No.
She survived because she was beaten the heaviest. Because she ran away, the assailant beat her even more heavily with the hammer. And do you know what that did? That actually cracked her skull like a bag of marbles, as the pathologists say, so much that when the pressure built up from all the bleeding, all the extradural hemorrhaging and all that, it relieved the pressure on her skull because her skull had been turned to mush. They took her back to the hospital there and they thought she was dead. And literally the father was going in there to look at the bodies and they said, actually, your daughter, one of them is alive. Josie is alive. And what a tremendous thing. She's gone on. It took her a long time to regain her speech because would it be the Wernicke's area of the brain?
Master, that's a weird word.
Whatever, the Wernicke's area.
Master, don't go into all that.
Whatever. The area of the brain responsible for speech was badly damaged. It took her like 6 months to even be able to talk like a toddler again. But now she's a really successful artist living in Wales. And, good for her. She's done brilliant things. Anything else we need to say?
Master, look at your notes.
Okay, right. David Wilson, the renowned criminologist from Birmingham University, he has looked at this one and he doesn't think Belfield likely did it. To be fair, I'm not convinced it was him. But the evidence against Stone, come on, a jailhouse testimony, saying, oh, he whispered this, that, and the other, and all the details that the dude gives is in the public domain. That is not evidence. That is not. And he thinks that there's been a terrible miscarriage of justice, at least in my opinion. I should put that in. Unfortunately, Michael Stone is guilty until anyone can find that shoelace, do some more PCR on it, and find the real assailant on the DNA database. But you do have the most extensive one in the world, so hopefully, if they ever can be bothered to find that shoelace, they will do that PCR, and they will find a known, would it be a hammer murderer? Was it a sexual crime? I can't say it on YouTube.
Master, what word are you going to say?
Was it a crime of passion? Is probably the best way of putting it on YouTube. I don't know. I think this guy did it purely for the fun of it. But you can't convict somebody unless there is there's not reasonable doubt. If there is reasonable doubt, you should not be convicting someone. And in this case, in my opinion, there is reasonable doubt. And that's as far as I'll go here. So girls, put it to the vote. Was there reasonable doubt? Is Michael Stone innocent unless actually proven guilty by some real evidence?
I'm gonna vote he's innocent.
You show, baby.
Innocent.
What about you, second end?
Innocent.
This is it. Look, we call ourselves a democracy. We're meant to have judicial process here, and it's outrageous. You can convict someone based on some scumbag in the next cell saying that you did it, and just, claiming a few things that were in the newspaper the day before that he whispered to you.
Master, you're waffling on. This video is 20 minutes. You need to stop.
I fully agree. Let's stop.